I'm Kortney Wilson, and this is The Shit Stick of Life, a podcast for when life hits hard, plans fail, and you need a little resilience, reinvention, and hope to keep going. Let's get into it. Welcome to The Shit Stick of Life podcast. I'm your host, Kortney Wilson, and today I am ridiculously honored to welcome Jen Hatmaker to the show. Jen needs little introduction in many circles. She's a best-selling author, a speaker, podcaster, and someone whose voice has resonated with thousands of readers seeking honest, courageous storytelling. I know it has resonated with me. But today we're going to go beyond the highlight reel because she just did in her new memoir, Awake, which just landed her on the New York Times bestseller list. Awake charts a journey through heartbreak, faith deconstruction, grief, and reinvention. It's a story of not just endings, but of how life shifts when we dare to wake the hell up. I'm so glad she said yes. Awake is a story that's obviously personal to her. It's hers, but do I dare say that it's also mine and so many others out there. Jen, thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
I'm just delighted. I'm so happy to meet you.
Oh,
Thank you for having me.
Well, oh my goodness, the honor is mine. We have a personal connection that I think you may be aware of, but a couple of years ago, I want to say it's a couple of years ago, roughly, maybe more than that, maybe 3 years ago. I was in New York City in Times Square at a Starbucks with my then boyfriend, now husband, and I ran into a guy named Tyler Merritt, a friend of mine. So random at the time, in Manhattan. Or in Times Square. And we were both like, I was like, hey, meet my boyfriend. And he was like, actually, I'm going on a date tonight. And I said, oh my gosh, with who? And he goes, well, it's kind of hush hush. But I don't think he actually told me who it was until like a week or so later. He was like, I said, how's the date? How's the date? Is it still going? And he said, actually, yes, nobody knows, totally on the down low. And I was like, you're kidding me. You're dating Jen Hatmaker. This is so awesome. But he was gushing over you, girl.
I'm dying laughing at your version of this. It's amazing. Oh my gosh, this is so funny.
What's his version?
Way cooler than that. In his version, he plays the chill character. I'm telling you what, that was almost 4 years ago is what that was.
Was it really? Yeah.
Because I met
I've been married 2 years.
Yeah. I met him in, I guess it was November of 2021. That was the first time I ever met him in New York City.
Crazy.
So I don't know if that's tracking, but crazy.
Yes. Well, no, it was. It was that night because we were going to Book of Mormon. And my husband had never seen musical theater in his life. And Tyler had seen everything at that point. So I broke Ryan into Book of Mormon. I cannot recall. You were seeing Waitress, I think.
We went to see Waitress. That's right.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I love this origin story.
I know. So, okay. So first of all, I got to tell you, I rarely read. I was an avid reader growing up. And then life hit and kids and teenagers and now young adults and a gazillion jobs. And I just don't freaking read. And I listened to your audiobook. I'm so glad I did. In 3 days flat in the car, driving from A to B. It was like half comedy sketch, emotional. At one point I almost drove my car off the road, but did pull over. And I'm going to tell you about that moment and what made me sob like a baby. But how are you doing, first of all? You're at home rarely right now these days promoting the book. How are you doing?
You know what? I'm doing good. I'm admittedly, I'm on the overwhelmed side. From just the pace of all this, I'm an absolute homebody. I like to be in my house. I am weirdly introverted, which is strange because of my job and the way that I am. Doesn't ever seem that I am, but I am. And I'm I'm quiet back in my little life. So all this is just kind of bananas. But That is not a complaint, because
No.
what it means is that enough people have like believed in me and in this
Mm.
book, and that includes
Mhm.
readers. Like I'm including
Mm.
everybody who is a part of this right now, like my
Mm.
publishing team and these readers who are like, we want to read your book, and we want to see
Mm.
you on book tour. What? That's an
Mhm.
author's dream right there. Like
Yeah, have you ever
nothing
seen
else.
that interview with Julia Roberts and Dolly Parton, where on the set of what was the movie they did together years ago, Magnolia, Sweet Magnolia,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
it was bloody hot outside, and Julia was like complaining, and all the actors were complaining, and Dolly, she said, "Dolly, aren't you hot?" And she said, "Listen, I dreamed about this my whole life. I'm sure as hell not going to complain about it today." And I
That's
feel
it.
like you just sum that up, but you are reliving a lot of your story over and over in every
Yeah,
conversation, including this one. And it's not lost on me that that's got to be, it's got
yeah.
to have its moments.
I did a
Um,
lot of like
so
therapeutic preparation for this
you
season.
did.
Yeah, I just knew, number one, having to retell it at this many times and revisit it pretty much every day for 3 months. And then, of course, as you know, when you put out your like most fragile, like most tender heartbreak, it's like a
Hmm.
magnet, and it attracts everybody else's really similar story, because you've held it up as like, I'm a safe person, I too, and that's literally the reason I wrote the book. But I also knew it was just going
Hmm.
to be a lot to hold in
Yeah.
this season. And so I find it a real honor to have these conversations with women. I'm so, it is just never lost on me that they feel safe enough to tell me their stories and to be candid with me, and frankly, to hold mine with very gentle hands. I'm really nothing but grateful. That's really my chief feeling.
There were several moments I related to you. First of all,
Hmm.
both married for a long time. I was married for 22 years.
Yeah.
I have 3 kids, one of whom is adopted and black.
Yep.
I was on HGTV. So all these
Yeah.
things I'm saying, she was also. So there were lots of just like literal common elements. I there was substance abuse in my marriage
Mm.
with my ex that was really, really hard. I also now recognize my codependency on
Oh,
that relationship. So
what are
like,
we,
girl,
twins?
I know, trust me. I actually joked about it. I was writing down the other day when I was listening to, every time you said Kortney in the book, you
Oh
were talking
yeah,
about your
my
sister.
sister.
I was like,
Yeah.
wait, I think she's
Wait.
talking about me. So first of
Wow,
all,
that's a
why
lot of
now?
parallels. That
Yeah, yeah,
is
a lot,
a lot
a
of personal
lot.
understanding between the two of us.
Yeah, which
Why
also made it
now?
hard for me to listen to it because I don't, it's
Yeah.
for sure not, and I am not the writer that you are, though I did write a book. That's not my gift. But I've been asked to write about my story, and I know the emotional toll it would take on me. So why now for you?
Hmm. How long ago did you get divorced?
Same time you did, my friend.
2020 was the
We
breakdown.
separated in October of 2019, and we divorced in
Mm.
May of 2020.
Yeah,
Yeah.
God, we really are the same
So
person. It's so
everything, I
weird.
mean, I'm going to call it like a Saturday Night Live sketch about parenting your kids through COVID. At some
Mm.
point during COVID, during that time, I also got full custody of my kids. So,
Mm.
but even before that, was the only parent, right? Like I was the only person that
Yes.
cared about a lot of things.
Yes.
So your comedy sketch had me laughing about the
Mm.
cycle of what you had to go through during that time while holding it together. And uh, anybody out there who,
Mm.
like, just go pick up the damn book because
Mm.
there's so much relatability in this. But again, this isn't about me, it's about you. So tell me, why now, 5 years later?
Yeah. I asked you that because I wanted to see if you and I had a similar time frame, and we clearly do.
Yeah.
So like there's this, 2020, 2021, like writing this book was not even a thought in my brain. I couldn't see 1 foot in front of my feet for a while. Like the
Yeah.
biggest lift that first year and a half was just getting to the end of the day. Like uh, the amount of like my whole life was just disrupted, just like yours. And that's what happens. Divorce, it's so weird because divorce is not that interesting. It's certainly not rare. It's happening at about a 50% rate, but when it happens to you, it's so explosive. It is so, your life crumbles. So even for such a common story, it's such an uncommon personal experience when you've been married for as long as we had. I mean, I got married when I was
because
19.
it's shot. Yeah. And I got married at 23. So a little bit
Yeah.
older than you. And I thought I was doing a great thing, by the way. I thought it was very mature.
So-
I might have missed the mark on a few things at that
Jeez.
stage in my life. But you're on the other side of it now. And boy, do you
Yeah.
have some stories to tell, your stories.
Yeah. Yeah. And I got to a place, probably same as you. I worked so hard at recovery. I mean, I treated recovery like it was a full-time job. I mean, I leaned into every single thing, rebuilding my life, therapy, of course, a zillion hours of it. For me, that included like, because my body broke down from the stress and anxiety of it all. So that included antidepressants for me for a while, anti-anxiety for a while. I'm still on blood pressure medicine. So,
No way.
I mean, I had to work so hard at health and what that does, as you probably know, unfortunately, because it sounds like our marriage is disintegrated in a really similar way, in which, let's see, at least like upon observation, one partner just fell the hell apart and just blew up the thing. So it's tilted, it's slanted. And that's the way that I perceived my story for the first stretch too, because, well, shit, that's what he did. So I didn't do that. Like, I was faithful. That wasn't my decision. That wasn't my choice. Times a million of things that I left out of the book, by the way.
I'm sure you did. I mean,
yeah.
I leave a good portion out of everything for my kids.
Of course.
Because we still are the protectors, but also we have to own our story. And for me to heal, I also had to acknowledge things. And it's a very fine line for me. I don't know if it is for you, but it's an extremely fine line for me because I want to preserve. 2 of my kids have a relationship with their dad and one does not. Yeah. And I want to preserve that, right? So there are things I would like to talk about that I don't. But okay, so for those listening, you basically start the book in a really super freaking vulnerable place. You're in bed and you hear your husband whisper texting to his girlfriend, "I just can't quit you."
That's right.
Okay. Now, the book's going to explain all the things that went through your mind, the fact that that was his last night there. Have you ever played over in your head what would have happened if he had turned to you and it wasn't a voice text and said, "I'm cheating on you"? Would that have changed the trajectory of anything or changed the healing process?
It's hard to know.
Yeah.
It's just hard to know. Like, had he admitted it? At this point, this is conjecture. I don't know how this would have felt to have been told instead of to have discovered. I don't know what that would have been like to have honesty instead of 2 years of nonstop lies. I don't know. I can imagine it would have certainly lessened the trauma. I just think it would have. I mean, not that that would have been a pleasant experience, or that I would have just been like, "Oh, well, thanks for telling me." I don't.
Yeah, but you're a truth seeker, so you would have appreciated the truth.
I would have appreciated the truth to a degree that I didn't get the opportunity to this time around. It just all blew up in an alcohol-fueled blaze of glory, and so the trauma of that, of the discovery. And then, of course, you know this too. Everybody who's been cheated on knows this. Again, not an uncommon story. Like, we are not the only ones whose husbands hit midlife and fell the F apart. And so it's not that interesting. Honestly, I'm like, God, be more original. Do something interesting. Like, this is so stereotypical and embarrassing. But I can imagine that we might have been able to work through the disillusion of our marriage in a more productive, healthy way. And not just me, my kids. I mean, it all just up in flames. Like, my kids were big at the time. I mean, at the time they were 14 to 22. So I had two in high school, two in college, and one just graduated. And, they're not little. So there's no way that,
which almost makes it harder, I think.
It does. There's no way we can be like, Mommy and Daddy are having we're going through something. We love you. It's not like that at all. I mean, he went to bed one night and moved out the next morning. Like, you don't hide that from teenagers.
Teenagers don't like to talk as it is as teenagers. Yeah. They don't want to communicate. They don't want to be in their feelings. So the fact that they're, when it happens in those years, which I think I held on a little longer in my marriage for the kids, and that might actually be one of my regrets. But okay, so
I don't know, but I'll tell you what though, per your question with the pursuit of truth, kind of at the root of that. Let me be self-honest. I knew before July 11th. I knew something was dreadfully wrong. My instincts were on fire. First of all, our relationship was so broken. We hadn't had sex. Most people will be like, hey, when you stop having sex, that probably means you're not having sex. But he might be, like, that is a clear indicator. And, but there were all these other like minute factors that he used, and then I agreed to kind of prop up that absence. It's this health thing. It's this surgery thing. It's, it's whatever you have to do to lie to yourself to make your broken thing not broken. I did. And when my body was like, everything is wrong, red flag, red flag, red flag. Why is he finding my phones off again?
Yeah.
Like,
oh my gosh, mine was Life 360. I mean, mine was Life 360. He would turn his Life 360 off, and I'd be like, oh my God, where the hell he is? He also had a heart condition, so I was like, I had quite literally saved his life with CPR several times. So I was always thinking it was that. Right? And I still don't. Most of the time it was that. He was sleeping in a car, sleeping at another place we owned, and I had to track him down, and I had the whole damn neighborhood looking for him.
My gosh.
And I remember being in a therapy, one of the few therapy sessions we went to, and we each got to deal with one thing on the first therapy session. I was like, don't turn Life 360 off. That was such a trigger for me. I said, don't turn it off, because I don't know where you are, and I panic, and I get everybody, I think you're dying somewhere, because that's where my brain was. He's dying. Yeah. And he said, oh my gosh, it's not happening to you, Kortney. It's happening to me, if that's going on. And the therapist said, I would actually venture to say it's only happening to her, because you're passed out somewhere. And if you die, that's it. We're done. She gets to be left to pick up the pieces, and still he would not turn that damn thing on. It would go off just periodically, and it was and gaslight me for it. You're crazy. Oh my God, what do you think I'm going to do? What do you like? Oh my God, I'm doing something fun for you. I've got a surprise for you.
Oh, geez. Mine was always more like, maybe our coverage keeps kicking me off for some reason. I'm like, that's weird. It's not kicking me and the kids off ever. That's so strange. But the thing is I just didn't want to know. I did not want to know what I knew. I did not want to know what I knew. You were
a public figure too, and as was I. And here I have these shows on HGTV, and we're on together, and we've got this perfect looking family. And in many ways, I thought it was perfect. So that's also me, just like blinders up everywhere. Like I was like, this is normal, we're gonna have high highs and low lows. I was always envious of somebody who had a little bit more stability, but that just wasn't us.
I
When
thought the
we were
same
good, we
thing.
were great. Really.
Even as I could look at the 3 years really in earnest prior to the explosion, when we were just frayed, even then I thought, we're going to get through this. Well, this is a dip. And I could point to it. We had some factors. Like we had some traumas in our life, and him particularly, he had some traumas in his life. And I'm like, I see where this is coming from. I see the source material. This is taking a real damn long time to get through it, but we're going to get there. We'd been through this before. I'm like, well, we'll get there. I really believed it. But the difference was because everything that was out of orientation inside of his body and mind and heart, presented as anger, fury, explosive like behavior, like just we were on eggshells all the time, me and the kids. Everything was a fight. Everything. This little tiny thing he managed to make enormous every single day of our lives. And so that got so wearisome. I was so sick of it. I was so sick of living in just landmine house that instead of steering in and going, I see that you are falling apart. Let's grab hands and fight our way out of this. Like, let's figure out, because I ended up feeling victimized by his unresolved trauma, because all I ever did was manage his anger. And so I was pissed and I was resentful. And so, I mean, my response to the thing just made it all worse. Like, if there might have been a chance that had we reconnected and intervened 2 years earlier, that we could have found a way through. I'll never know. I'll never know.
Yeah, you'll never know.
Because I just helicoptered out and went, get your shit together. Because we're making our lives miserable. In the meantime, I just carried on. I like relocated all my relational intimacy to my best friends, to my kids, to my sisters and brother, to my parents. I had such a full relational life outside of my marriage. And I just let that carry the day. And as you might imagine, that doesn't really serve a marriage in breakdown.
No, it does not.
So
It actually does the opposite. Yeah,
That's
no, it
right.
didn't. It didn't for me either. And the harder I leaned, I also felt abandoned all the time. And he knew that I'm the follow througher of all follow throughers. So the way to trigger me was to say, I'm just not going, or F you. You're going to do this party on your own. And so anyway, but I wanted to go through a couple of my favorite moments. I'm going to start with the moment that that led me to driving my car, to the side of the road.
Okay.
Because I couldn't see through my tears. Hopefully I'll do this without crying. Because the one difference we do have is I think I cry and I'm way more emotional than you are. But one thing that I thought was so special about listening to the audiobook versus reading it is that you have a lot of people that are intertwined in this story. And for the most part, most of those people speak in their voice, their own parts, their own words to you, which I hadn't heard before. And I thought it was such a gift to the reader to hear this. It gave such personality, not to mention you're reading your own story, which sometimes doesn't happen. But now you have these people. Okay. Your dad.
I know. Get in line, Kortney. Everybody is like, trigger warning, please.
Oh my God.
I know.
So you had just had a panic attack, I think.
That was probably my lowest moment.
Yeah.
I was in my kid was in the ER.
Yeah.
For absolute breakdown. I was in a different ER I was about to pass out. My blood pressure was so high. I was having panic attacks. My mom and sister had to come drive me to the ER, having me just checked my kid in. Like that was, I point to that. Besides July 11th, that was the lowest day of the story.
Yeah.
And where I've been in the emergency, I'm just setting this up for your listener.
Yeah.
I've been in the emergency room for 2 days with my kid. Like sleeping there with the blaring lights, and it's so loud. And And I finally have checked her into a safe place for at least a handful of days, so I know she's going to be safe. At the second she was in safe hands,
You broke down.
I literally broke down. My body broke down. And so after 2 or 3 days of this, I finally come home. After my mom and sister took me to the emergency room, they bring me home. My whole family's here. My dad, the rest of my siblings, everybody's here because we are in crisis again. And I remember my dad trying to talk to me, and I hadn't slept in 2 days. I'd had all these panic attacks. I just slumped over.
Yeah.
So enter this. And the next morning I wake up to a text from my dad, who's one of the greats. Like I have one of the greatest dads.
You really do. The way that you speak about both your parents and your siblings in the book, I was a little envious. I don't have that. In fact, I don't have a relationship with my parents. I jokingly say my ex got them in the divorce. But I started, I'm driving and I pull over and his voice immediately, first of all, I'm just thinking this is like the others. And then it just hit me how special it was and how much he loved you and how this was fuel to your recovery, to know that they were going to be there for you, but they also were feeling it in a way that I don't know anybody else could.
Totally. Which we get as moms.
Oh,
we get that.
We get as moms. Yeah. Was there any question that this was going to be in the book? How was your dad excited about reading his part? Tell me everything.
It's so interesting because when I went back to write Awake, and I didn't write this book in chapters. It's written in teeny little vignettes. It's just scenes.
Yes.
It's scenes from my life. It's not prescriptive at all. And some of the scenes were linear in terms of the end of my marriage and then the next 1.5 or 2 years of recovery. But the other scenes in the book are all around from back to 4th grade. Like all these scenes that build.
I love that because it's not consecutive because you're getting pieces. Yeah. I love
you're coming back and forth and kind of figuring out, I see what built your life. I see what built your marriage. I see where the cracks in the house were. But because I was writing like that, I was able to go back. I had 2 tabs open on my laptop the whole time I wrote. Facebook and Instagram set to 2020. And I was going back, remembering post by what did I say that day? What happened that day? It was like a diary of those. And when you lose something in such a trauma fest, it's foggy. Like a lot of it was lost to a fog of grief and just suffering. And so social media acted a little bit like a diary to me, reminding me, oh yeah, that's what I heard that day, or that's who texted me that day. And then I had all my texts and I had all my emails. And so that text from my dad is verbatim. I scrolled back to all my texts.
I wondered
from that time and went, what did people say to me that mattered? And I found that text from my dad and I was like, oh my God, this has to be included. And my dad actually recorded, my dad is 78 years old. When my audio engineer contacted 16 or 17 people saying, can you record your portion of whatever it is you said or wrote or texted to Jen? My dad is like, record? What in the world does that mean? So I'm like, Dad, come over. You can do this in my studio. We'll handle it. So anyway, he was here when he recorded that. And my mom and I were like just behind the camera as we were kind of capturing it. And for anybody listening, my dad cries when he reads his part.
You can hear him crying, by the way. In the actual recording, y'all, when you listen to this, you can hear that he's trying to keep it together.
Yeah, his voice breaks. And Mom and I are hysterical, of course. And
like crying or laughing?
Yes. No, we're bawling. It's just, we're bawling. And he's like, oh, hon, I feel like my voice cracked. I couldn't get through it. Should I re-record it? I'm like, no, Dad.
Nope.
That's the take. I
That's it.
promise. Your feeling just adds to this moment in the story. And
Jen, do you have the video of him recording it? You have. If you do,
oh
you
my
have
God,
to release it at some point.
such a
If you have a video of that man, I mean, there is just zero chance that thing's not going to go viral. It is the most beautiful thing.
my
I hope
gosh.
you do.
I'm gonna
You
write that
should.
down
You
to
should.
check. I can't remember if I
Yeah,
recorded
yeah,
it
yeah,
or
yeah,
not.
yeah.
That's a great. Anyway, he's so
Yeah.
dear, and it was
Yes.
just it was an interesting moment in time because my own kid was in an ER. Well, at
Yeah.
this point, kind of in a facility of sorts to get stable because she was so brokenhearted and so low and so traumatized
Mhm.
that she needed helpers. My own kid, and then that was me. And so my
Yeah.
dad comes in because I'm his kid, like
Mhm.
with that beautiful like
This is
support
gonna
and
make it even
love.
harder.
I know. And I was like, that's how I do it, Jen. That's it. What your dad just did for you is what you do for your kid. You cannot fix this for her. You cannot solve it. You cannot fast forward, but you can love her and be so close and promise your nearness that she is not alone, that
Mhm.
she will never be alone, that her broken heart is your broken heart. I'm like, my dad gave me a master class that day on how to get my own kid through her trauma.
Okay, so you had your family, but you also had your girlfriends, and
Yeah.
I just loved hearing you talk about your girlfriends because I truly feel like my girlfriends are the longest relationships I'll ever have in
Yes.
life.
Yes. I mean, 100% yes. Those are my like soulmates.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
I've said before, I'm like, these girlfriends are worth 10,000 husbands.
Yeah.
And
You were describing one of them in one of the chapters about her getting in a dinosaur costume. It wasn't necessarily for you, but you were describing her as somebody like that gets into a blow up dinosaur costume. And I
yes,
again laughed
Jackie.
because Jackie, okay, because on my first Valentine's Day after getting divorced, I thought it was going to be hell on earth.
Mm.
I don't even like Valentine's Day. That's what's
Right,
crazy. It's not
totally.
even like I don't even like that holiday. I think it's stupid
I
and
get
made
it.
up, and I'd rather whatever. But that morning, two of my friends, Mel and Corey, you may have met. I'm not sure. She's at the theater company that Tyler is on the
Mm.
board of, and they showed up on
Oh
my
yeah.
porch in blow up dinosaur costumes with handwritten notes, and I laughed my ass off.
Oh my
And
God.
then another friend showed up with Five Daughters donuts, which is my favorite donuts. Another friend took me to lunch, and I was actually convinced by dinner that they just
Look,
wanted me
I
to be
have
fat and
goosebumps.
happy. Yeah, but it was the best Valentine's Day I'd ever. It's
Of course
by
it
far
was.
the best Valentine's Day I ever had, and it
My
was because of my damn
gosh.
girlfriends.
The girlfriends are
Yeah.
everything. Oh my gosh. You must have died when you heard about the blow up dinosaur costume in my book,
Yes.
that you had that same weird little scene in
No, no,
your
no. You
like
wrote this book for me. Let's just be real. This is you wrote my
that
story.
is too on the nose. Yeah, I wrote about Valentine's Day in a way. My first Valentine's Day too, because all of my best friends are married for a zillion years,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and their husbands are my best friends. So
Yeah.
like
Hmm.
that's my crew.
Yeah.
So we had, and this was 2021, so everything was still a little bit weird. So we had home Valentine's Day at one of their houses, like beautiful steak dinner, and it was three couples and me. There were seven of us. And they're like,
Oh my
bitch,
God.
come over. Like, this is
Yeah.
Valentine's Day. We're your
You're the center of the
beloveds.
wheel. Yeah.
Yeah. And my friend Trey, Jenny's husband, was like, bring two sides. He's like, don't you don't get a free pass because you're sad. Like,
Yeah.
get in your kitchen, make two delicious sides worthy of a steakhouse, and we'll see
That's
you at
right.
6:30. I'm
That's
like,
right.
that's love.
Same thing
That's
happened for
love.
me for Thanksgiving dinner. I would always host a Friendsgiving around Thanksgiving. And one of my friends reached out because I hadn't reached out to everybody else. And it was unlike me because I do feel like I am the follow through and I was trying to keep it together. But there were moments where I was just pure exhaustion and I didn't want to put
Totally.
anybody out. And I'm not the same and we're not the same family and blah, 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 victim, victim, victim. So
Check.
so I got a message from one of my girlfriends and said, hey, are we doing Thanksgiving?
And I remember reading the text and putting my hand on my heart. I was like, well, fuck yeah, we are. Yes, we're doing Thanksgiving. We're doing it. Yeah. But I didn't think that they would want to. So, that's the place that I had gone to. Okay. I read the book and I listened to this chapter, and the way that it was in my head, it was a bit about racism, systemic racism, and deconstruction. But I got to the end of the book, and you were going to do the podcast, and I couldn't for the life of me find this damn chapter, because I was looking for a title that would give it to me to go back and re-listen. So it was bothering me. It bothered me all last week, because I was like, what? I know I heard this. And this morning I'm in the car and I plugged in my phone, and it immediately started playing your book, and I'll be damn, simple, I think is what it is.
That's it.
Comes on. So I'm taking it as a sign that we should talk about it. And I want to start by saying, I grew up differently than you in that I grew up Catholic. I grew up in the church, but I grew up in Canada. So living in the South was a massive shock,
I bet,
to my system.
Yeah.
And I quickly realized that whatever I knew about religion was not how people here thought about religion.
Totally.
And it really ruined me in a lot of ways. And now I'm in a better place now. I still don't like religion, but I have a relationship with Jesus, and I pray, but religion doesn't suit me in the South.
Yeah.
So full disclosure, that's where I'm at. But when I listened to this, again, I was hanging on every word, because I have had this argument, or sometimes lack thereof, where I want it to come out and I can't, because I don't know how. And I don't know if it's because I'm in the South. I don't know if it's because I have a daughter of color, and I'm raising a Black girl that is, I'm trying to address all of the stuff inside of me so I can be the best mom for her. Did talking about this in the book, was it more important to you because you do have both biological and adopted children of a different race? Did that play in at any point? They're big, bold, honest words that I absolutely loved, but it was bold.
Yeah. My exploration of experience of the work of anti-racism has been going on for about, coming up on 15 years. And so that preceded my divorce. And it's so humbling and in some ways humiliating and even sad.
Oh my God.
When I look back at even where my understanding of white supremacy was when I adopted my two youngest, who were 5 and 8 at the time. They're Ethiopian. 5 and 8. And so this is 2010, 2011. And
so mine was 2009, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I adopted Lennox 2009.
What I understood was so rudimentary, so incomplete, so one-sided and myopic and homogenous. I had just grown up in such a one-note world. I grew up in Kansas. My community was white. My church has been white. And then kind of inside this evangelical subculture is a secondary layer, which is absolutely primarily not interested in the work of anti-racism. And so that has been an ongoing education process for me. And certainly one impetus was being the parent of Black kids and going, frankly, I owed it to them before I adopted them to do that hard work. I owed that to them. But that, to your point, when I was in the learning process, the initial learning process, this will be a lifelong bit of
Yeah.
education for me as a white girl of privilege. I mean, I'm always
Yeah.
going to have to be listening and learning to ever even get 5 inches deep into the work of anti-racism in a meaningful way. But I started listening and learning back then, and I was doing that in a public way because that's just the way I've always led. Whatever I'm going through, my online community knows about it. Like whatever I'm learning, whatever I'm reading, whatever I'm thinking about, what's going on in my family. I'm not doing a shtick. That's just how I am. I don't have any other, I don't know how else to be in the world. That's just my way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Might
I
even
thought,
be how
oh
you
my God.
reset.
Yeah, that's just, so I'm like, let's
Yeah.
learn about this together, thinking, hey, we are supposedly a people of justice. We are a people for whom we are supposed to love our neighbor and be like deeply committed to marginalized people. And, you know, I think we'll all be in lockstep here. And we were not.
Not.
We were not. This is back in the day when my primary demographic.
We still are not.
No, we still are not. But that's when I was in that community still. That's when I was sort of a leader of evangelical like lady subculture or whatever you want to call it.
Because people who are new to you don't maybe know this, that you grew up when you married a pastor, and then you were very heavily involved in a church in Texas, right?
Yes,
Or
but more than that.
all
Like
over.
we got out of college in 1996 and moved immediately into full-time ministry, full-time church ministry.
Yeah.
And that meandered from Oklahoma and then all in Texas.
Yeah.
And
So now you're
started a
digging deep.
church.
That's right. And now you're in it and you're looking for answers and you're digging deep. I think you say something about pulling a stray string,
The thread.
at the thread, and it starts to unravel all of these other things, and you have more questions and you need more answers. Okay.
That's right. It started when I really started to get at odds with my community. And first of all, the reason I was getting at odds is because I had all this cognitive dissonance. Like I'm hearing all these messages that I've been hearing my whole life. It's not like I'm new to that. I know how that subculture thinks about gay people. Like I know what they think about sex and purity culture. Like I'm not new. I get it all. But I'm starting to have this like misalignment where my head and my heart are not in agreement anymore. And I know what I've been told and taught, but what I am observing is not lining up with it. Like if this is supposedly true and good, then the natural outcome, according to the Bible, is going to be good things. It's going to be good fruit, to use the metaphor that Jesus used. So I'm like, everyone is saying that this tree is good, but it's only giving bad fruit. So something's wrong. What's wrong? And so I'm starting to fray at the edges, which becomes obvious to anybody watching. And the white supremacy stuff was just shredding that sweater. This was 2016. And so without like getting too deep in the bag, I had spent that entire year being pretty vocally anti-Trump because I just couldn't make sense of it all. I'm like, this doesn't.
Yeah, nor can I.
I thought we would be in lockstep about that too, because what's right is right, what's wrong is wrong. I thought that was obvious and plain, and it wasn't. So it's the Trump, it is the anti-racism, and then right before the election, 2 weeks before the election in 2016, is when I gave an interview and said I've reversed my position, this historical, like theological position about the LGBTQIA community.
And then you experienced cancel culture.
And that was the end. That was the end. Like everybody was kind of trying to hang on to me. Like she's problematic, but we like her. So maybe we can keep it. That was the end. The end. I was like dropped from my publisher the next day. My books were pulled off shelves, out of print. My speaking calendar emptied.
Unbelievable.
Social media split in half. I mean, that was the end for sure. Best thing that ever happened.
Yes, I was just going to ask you that. I'm struggling right now on social media because, I mean, the other day I was posting about some political things, and I lost 5,000 followers in 24 hours, just like that. Bam, gone. Yep. And part of me is like, well, good. But then the other part of me is I want to hold on to them because I feel like I might be able to, infiltrate these like cult-like I
I
call
get
them
it.
cult-like because it
Uh-huh.
feels like a cult right now.
I know. You won't. You won't.
I
So
won't. I
let me
know.
just end the fantasy. Like, that's
Yeah.
not how it works. And because you could probably go back and look at exactly what it is you said or wrote when you lost 5,000 followers. And I guarantee you it was probably thoughtful and it was not salacious or
Oh
incendiary.
no.
And you probably said it with um, maturity and thoughtfulness. So it doesn't matter. You can't be thoughtful enough to make that message break through the armor. So
Well,
don't
so
worry
then
about it.
how do you think change occurs then? How do you think do they just, I mean, we're seeing right now in this modern time, people
Yeah.
literally being affected of the very by the person they voted for.
Yeah.
And you know, I remember when Trump got elected this last time, I remember thinking the very people that I was trying to support so this didn't happen are going to be hurt the most.
Yeah.
Do you think that has to happen for change for the better to happen? Like, how do you justify that in your head? Help me. This is a therapy session now.
It's so hard. This is my theory, and maybe it's anecdotal, but my sense is that on big platforms like ours, where there's a lot of people, it's highly visible, very public facing. I have yet to see almost any space like that that feels like it is a change agent across this enormous gap. I don't, at this point on social media, people
Yeah.
pretty much listen to who they want to listen to.
That's
And when
right,
they've
yeah.
got a contrary person in their feed, it's because they want to fight with them and their followers.
That's right. Well, because their
So-
algorithm is
Yeah.
producing what they talk about behind
yeah,
closed
it's
doors.
same for me,
Yeah.
to be honest.
Yeah,
When I
same for
scroll
me.
through
Same
my
for me
food,
too.
I am very curated on
Yeah.
what sort of political voices I have coming in. It's the same for me. But what I do think, and I know this because this is what women tell me, is that anytime somebody that's kind of visible like us, that they respect, says online whatever their like convictions are around the political climate, but behind whatever it all is, what it does is it plants little kernels of courage and in some cases language into the minds of the people that are listening and kind of ideologically aligned. And those people take those kernels of
Ooh.
courage and language into their families, into their neighborhoods, into their churches. That is where I think change happens. I think it happens across a table. I think it happens between people who love each other, who are related to each other. I think it happens when a mom gets a little dose of courage and has a gay kid and has a kind of a hard but meaningful conversation with her mom about how we're going to love this kid. You know, that is where it happens. So I don't think our work is in vain. I don't think we're going to see a lot of change in our comment feed. But I don't underestimate what it is to set that example for everyone watching and listening and for what they will go out and do in real life. Social media is not actually real life.
So in some ways you feel a responsibility to do that on your socials? Because I've been like split on this recently because every time I do it, I feel like I get so much kickback and they're like, we just want to come to you for a good time. Shut up and be pretty. And I hate that,
Yeah.
obviously. Canadians and I have a lot of Canadian followers and of course they're like,
Yeah,
speak it, girlfriend.
of course.
But typically,
Yeah.
I don't feel that from most of my American followers.
They're like,
It's
stick to
very-
paint.
Stick to paint. You know, decorate something, sell something. It's really awful. Same in that, and this is another kind of interesting thing. I have gone back to Ethiopia. I did not adopt from Ethiopia, but one of my most favorite things to do is to go on a trip to Ethiopia. I'm going again in January, and we serve on, in some of the poorest communities, helping families, educating. I do this with an amazing Christian woman who she's actually about to be on the podcast. Her name's Kelly Putty, who flat out was like, "Oh, I hate religion. I love Jesus." She was so awesome, but she goes and she puts her money where her mouth is. I mean, we're working, we're feeding, we're raising money, we're raising awareness, we're getting people educated. You should come. Actually, I would love for you to come at some point. But when I'm there, I get so much criticism. Actually using the word white savior.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And it's astonishing to me. Once again, not typically from people outside of the US, almost always internally in the US. And it breaks me because we're all human. You're sitting there and you're holding mothers who haven't fed their kids all week, and you're listening to their stories, and you come home to advocate, and that's what you read. How have you better dealt with some of the criticism, asking for a friend, over the few years of you supporting our LGBTQ plus family, and our our people of all colors, and talking about systemic racism? How have you done that? Do you tune it out? Do you reset somehow?
I've learned a lot, because I would say in my earliest days of activism, if we could just put it under an umbrella, I did several things so poorly, so terribly, with so much hubris, that the criticism was warranted. And so when I heard enough people criticizing language or methods that I respected, I went, let me listen a little carefully here, and let me move out of this defensive posture that I have, which is all like good intentions. But as we know, impact matters more than intent always. And when these people that have also been in the work a long time, or have been embedded in that particular community a long time, are raising a red flag, I'm gonna pay attention. And so what I learned in my earlier days was this long time white Christian impulse to center ourselves in someone else's story. So,
what do you mean by that?
Meaning, we are going to come in with all the answers, with, we're going to assume knowledge about this disenfranchised community that we aren't necessarily a part of. We're outsiders to it. And we're going to come in as the authority, as the leader, as the teacher. I did that in so many ways and in so many places.
But you also did that in conversations with the very people it has affected, which I thought was amazing.
I feel like what I've learned over the years is that in any form of activism, whether it's we're traveling somewhere, we want to be an ally, we want to use our platforms for good, which is all great, great. We start with the community. We do not start with what we want to do in the community. We start there with their leaders, with their authorities, with the people already on the ground in those places.
That's exactly right.
We come in as listeners and learners, period. Latasha Morrison is a good friend of mine, and she leads this enormous anti-racism community called Be the Bridge. And I learned from her, because her community is largely white. It started kind of as a Be the Bridge inside the church world. How can white people learn to be allies in across the board, but certainly in a spiritual sense? And her rule, she's got this very robust private online Facebook group, and you have to sort of make it through a filter to get in if you're going to be a part of the community. Okay. Her rule for white people, it's all led by Black people and Black moderators, is if you get in here you are not allowed to say one thing in this group. You cannot post. You cannot respond on somebody else's post. Nothing for 3 months. Your job is to sit here quietly, listen, and learn. Because the white impulse to jump in, yeah, but, well, that's not how I see it, or I don't understand that, or to grab the spotlight from the actual people in the community and put it on ourselves, even if it's our own confusion or white tears or white guilt or whatever it is so antithetical to the work. And so I learned from her this posture and this process, listener, learner first, and maybe for a long time. And even then, if we want to step into a place of activism with any given marginalized community that we are not a part of, we pass the microphone to the leaders on the ground. We use our platforms to elevate their leaders, their problem
that's literally
solvers.
even when I go to Ethiopia, it's always with people on the ground that are telling their stories. This is what they need. This is why they need it. These boys, are wanting to go to school for 3 years. And then I'm able to introduce them to my audience. Oh my God, I love that. And I need to be a part of that Facebook group. So maybe you could send that to me.
Yes.
Okay. I have one final question. When my marriage ended, I wasn't just losing a relationship, right? Like I was losing this whole imagined future.
That's right.
I still ache for it sometimes.
Me too. Me too. I'm still sad. I just had a grandbaby, my first one. And
I saw that.
I'm so thrilled and I'm so in love, but I always thought our grandbabies would come home to us on this porch and have like this intact family that was home base forever for our kids, for their kids. I never in a million years thought I would just be a solo grandma. So I still feel the sadness too, Kortney, same.
Okay. That, I always say grief is like glitter, and you pick it up as best you can, but it's still there. And, I do find that there are moments in my life like that at a graduation and I cannot wait to be a grandmother. I mean, kids, I can wait a few years, but I cannot wait for that stage in my life. I think partly because parenting is so hard and I hear being a grandparent is way more joyous.
Totally. All the fun, also, none of the responsibility. Sign us up. Yes.
My friend, thank you so much for having this conversation with me. Especially in the middle of a crazy media tour while your book is on the New York bestsellers list. Like I'm really, really, really grateful. Thank you.
It's so, it's weirdly comforting and renewing to have a conversation with somebody who deeply understands it all, who isn't just going, oh, that sounds really sad. But somebody who can go, I know exactly how that feels. I know exactly where I was when I hit that moment.
I feel it all.
It just feels almost like, oh, I don't have to sit here and explain it to you what it was all like.
I mean, I think we were on different porch swings in different states in, old HGTV houses at the same time.
That's right.
Trying to navigate the same things, and we survived it. So cheers to you. Let's have a drink when we officially meet in person, hopefully soon.
100%.
I know you're coming to Nashville because your guy's here, so hopefully we can figure it out.
I would love that, Kortney. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you so much for listening. You can find all the details and links from this episode in the show notes. And just please don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts. Until next time, I'm Kortney Wilson, and this is the Shit Stick of Life.